ready to give us an update on what he's heard from the ground. Saul, if you can hear me, what are you hearing from officials as that fire just rages on behind you?
It is raging, as you said, Eric, right now behind me. That fire, as you said, all those firefighters are trying to battle that fire from high above on cherry pickers. And right now, this complete area in downtown El Paso, not far from City Hall, is actually being blocked off. We understand the people over at Hotel Indigo, which is adjacent to this hotel, they're being evacuated. A lot of people are being asked to stay away from this particular area. Just about every side, every corner around that hotel is actually blocked off. People are not being allowed inside. There are fears that this building could actually collapse. So they're asking people to stay away from this area. But you can see just how this fire is raging. You can see embers in through some of those windows just burning. And again, it is one of those battles that firefighters are going to have to continue for quite some time. They're trying to douse it with water, but it is to no avail. Those flames are just shooting right through the roof right now. The smoke, as I was driving in, can be seen for miles. And so right now, firefighters are trying to put this fire out, but I can tell you it looks that it's to no avail. Firefighters, again, they are no longer inside the building. As you can imagine, when they first arrived here, they went in to try to battle the fire from inside, but they evacuated all the firefighters, and right now they're just trying to do whatever they can to save whatever they can. Again, people are being asked to stay away from this particular area. I can tell you that a lot of people are gathering where I'm standing right here. I'm standing in the City Hall parking lot. A lot of people are gathering here, taking pictures of just what it is that they're seeing. An historic building, a very old building that is burning down right before our very eyes, and firefighters trying as hard as they can and doing as much as they can to try to douse these flames. But as you can see, it is to no avail. We will, of course, stay on top of this and bring you updates as we get them.
All right, so of course, El Paso Fire not providing many updates at this time as they are in the middle of this fight right now. The lone tweet that they've sent out so far on Twitter, El Paso Fire saying that they were responding to a Condition 4 fire at the Soto Hotel. This was 39 minutes ago. At that time, they said no injuries reported. However, of course, that could potentially change, especially given the scale of this fire. So at least as of the last 30-40 minutes, fire officials are saying no injuries reported. But as Saul just touched on, they are asking nearby buildings, Indigo Hotel, to evacuate. Fortunately, one thing we don't have to contend with here are winds. It's not extremely windy today. That could further complicate things. However, firefighters will be having to deal with the cold temperatures. The good news is right now it is 39 degrees as you see on your screen right now, so a little bit above freezing. That might help a little bit in this fire as they try to attack this fire. However, as Doppler's been talking about, we're under an ABC 7 first alert. We have been since Sunday. We have another frigid night of temperatures ahead of us, so that could be an added challenge to this fight against this fire. A moment ago, you just saw just above the building, I think it's just such a stark juxtaposition when you can see those flames coming out of the top of the building and the Plaza Hotel sign through all those flames and smoke just in the background. It just gives you a sense of really the scope of this fire. As we start to zoom out a little bit here, you might be able to see it through some of that thick, dense black smoke that we're seeing. And now, honestly, it's actually difficult to even see that much because the black smoke has overtaken so much of the skyline right now. Two fire hoses from above are trying to attack some of these spots of the fire right now, but you can see just how intense the flames still are. This is still very early in this fight against such a massive fire. Right there in the middle, you can see just ever so faintly the word Plaza there from the Plaza Hotel just beyond in the distance. There is a little bit of distance, obviously, so they're not right next to each other, but it's such a stark contrast with what you're seeing right now with these intense flames right now. I touched on the weather, but first I want to talk to Mauricio Casillas.
I do want to give you an update.
Oh, before we get to Mauricio, Saul is chiming in here. Saul, what's the latest that you're hearing right now?
Eric. Yeah, I do want to give you an update as I asked Moreno to push into that. We have seen that parts of the roof have collapsed. They have collapsed. You see those flames shooting through, and as we shoot through some of the windows, you can see that part of that roof has already collapsed, and that's why they're able to get closer to the fires. They're shooting the water through the top of the building. Parts of the roof have already collapsed, so we know that just by looking at it. Not that we've gotten any official confirmation, but we can visually see that part of the roof has already collapsed. So this is obviously raising concerns that some of the rest of the building could collapse. But as the update that I can give you right now is that we have seen that parts of the roof has already collapsed. Eric?
So, do you have any idea? I know that this is, you just got on scene here, but I know you mentioned that they are asking people at the Indigo Hotel to evacuate. Do you have a sense of exactly what is structurally connected to the DeSoto Hotel and what other buildings they may be asking people to evacuate from right now?
Well, I can tell you that the Indigo Hotel is just feet away from this hotel, and I do see people inside the Indigo Hotel, so apparently not everyone has been evacuated. Some people are coming to the window, obviously, to get some video or some pictures of this scene right here, this burning building. As far as other buildings are concerned, we know that there's several restaurants, and people have been evacuated from those restaurants. Across the street is the Wells Fargo building. We don't believe anyone has been evacuated from the Wells Fargo building, but people in surrounding areas are being asked to stay away from this particular area for fear that the building could collapse. But again, we do see that the roof has already collapsed, at least partially. We don't know if it is entirely collapsed, but we can see that parts of the roof have already collapsed. As you can see, the embers through some of the windows, and firefighters still trying to douse this flame, but as you can see, it is to no avail. These flames still shooting through the roof, and you can see the smoke from miles away. So there is a danger that some of the building, the rest of the building, could collapse. So they're trying to keep people away from the DeSoto Hotel right now. Eric?
Yes, well, that's a good point. I think a lot of people's instinct here would be to go and check this out. I know you mentioned some people nearby are watching this. It's hard not to watch when you see just the intensity of these flames and the smoke that are pouring out of the DeSoto Hotel right now. But I'm sure fire crews want you. They've probably got a massive perimeter right now. They do not want you in that area. So if you can, avoid from going near there, as this fight against this fire, this blaze for firefighters is just beginning. And there is that potential and that risk of this thing intensifying even more and spreading. I'm talking to Jerry Nahara, who's familiar with the area. He's saying the Reagan and Berkeley Lounge are both connected to this building in that area as well. Trying to get some word on whether or not they're evacuating there as well. Those are two very popular spots downtown in El Paso there. But again, if you're just joining us right now here live on ABC 7 at 6, the DeSoto Hotel is on fire. It is a raging, massive fire right now in downtown El Paso just after 6 o'clock. This just broke out just before 5:30 or so. We brought it to you as breaking news at the very end of ABC 7 at 5. And at that time, we really only saw some intense smoke coming out. We didn't see the flames that we're seeing right now. So it's only intensified since we first brought this to you back just before 5:30. I want to start with ABC 7's Mauricio Casillas. He is also there downtown. I'm not sure exactly where he is in relation to Saul, but he's been sending in photos and video from there. He's joining us over the phone right now. Mauricio, can you hear me? All right, we're not getting Mauricio on the phone. We do have Dylan, and actually we have Dylan on camera, so let's get to Dylan McKim, who is also live downtown. Dylan, where exactly are you in relation to this fire right now?
Yeah, Eric, we are east of the building. We're standing on Mills right now. I'm looking at the east side of the building. As you said earlier, the Reagan, the Berkeley, they're all under this building, but right now you can see a great shot of the flames coming out the top of the Soto Hotel. I'm counting about 4 pumps right now that firefighters are pointing at this building. Of course, the Hotel Indigo off to the right, they have evacuated that building. I can see in the Hotel Indigo a lot of hotel room lights on. Don't see any activity up there. I'm assuming everyone has left the Hotel Indigo Hotel. But if we look at the DeSoto Hotel, as you can see, the smoke is really starting to rise. We were down by the border, Eric, Stanton Bridge. I happened to look in my rearview mirror and I saw the smoke just billowing up out of this hotel. We drove as fast as we could over here. We just got here a couple minutes ago. Still trying to figure out if there are any injuries. We haven't heard anything from firefighters, but right now they are just working to get these flames out right now. But you can kind of see inside these windows, there are things falling from the ceiling that I can see, embers falling down, parts of the structure falling off the roof. If you can see through those windows, still trying to figure out how many, a lot of fire crews out here. We'll keep you updated, Eric, right now, but we're still trying to figure out. A lot of people are standing around actually watching this fire. As you said before, we want people to stay away from this scene. This fire is growing out of control, and we can actually hear those hoses right now. It's very loud. Eric, we'll send things back to you right now. We'll keep an update out here. Eric.
All right, Dylan, and you can see that there is obviously fire ambulances as well on scene, getting ready just in case there is in the event of any injuries. Again, the last we heard from fire at this point about 40 minutes ago, no injuries reported at that time, but of course things can change, so we'll continue to keep you updated as these images are just absolutely incredible coming out of downtown El Paso right now. We do still have an obligation to take a quick break. It's going to be 1 minute long. We are streaming this live on KVI.com, so that live stream is continuing throughout the duration of this fire, but stay right there. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Welcome back to ABC 7 at 6. You are looking live right now at a massive fire that has broken out in downtown El Paso at the Soto Hotel. There are objects falling from the building right now. Several Signs is on scene reporting that there are portions of the roof that have collapsed. Firefighters initially trying to attack this fire, now in a defensive position because of just how intense this fire is, up on ladders trying to spray in through any of those windows. Openings to try and attack some of these flames, but this fire has been raging for close to an hour now. Just broke out just before 5:30 this evening. Now, I want to give you a quick background. The property is in the middle of a $1.2 million restoration project in downtown El Paso. Again, this is the Soto Hotel. Just a few weeks ago, back in mid-December, again, the $1.2 million restoration project just a few weeks ago, this is all part of. So again, what you're seeing right now, this was from just a few weeks ago. I want to say in mid-December, the owners of the hotel, Mills LLC, entered into an economic development agreement with the city of El Paso, allowing it to receive more than $58,000 in incentives. Now, the plan called for the renovation of the hotel's 34 units. So it's a 34-unit building described as blighted. It would consist of converting the upper floors to a standard hotel and rehabilitating the first floor's storefront. This all according to a presentation made to City Council, but still very early in this investigation. I mean, not even an investigation. They're attacking the fire right now, so we don't know the exact cause. Let's go back to ABC 7 Soul Signs, who's live just a few blocks away. And Soul, what is the latest information you're getting from on the ground?
Well, that's just based on information and observation of what I'm seeing out here. I want to show you two particular points of interest. One, where you can see some of the parts of the roof caving in and some objects actually coming down from that particular area. And you can see the firefighters are still directing their attention to that particular, from that cherry picker right there, trying to douse the flame. Then I want to show you another section which is directly across. That is where we're seeing the flames shooting right through the roof. That has been a particular interest. We've seen several cherry pickers trying to douse that fire right there, but you can see that just particles just keep coming down. The roof has collapsed or continues to collapse in other parts. But yes, firefighters are trying to keep people away out of fear that this entire building could collapse. They're trying to keep people away. They're asking people to evacuate buildings that are directly across from it. We do know that some of the restaurants just directly adjacent to the hotel, they have been evacuated. They have been asking people from the Hotel Indigo, which is just a few feet away from the DeSoto Hotel. They've asked some people to evacuate there, but I can see that some people are still inside and taking pictures of all this. Where I'm standing is the City Hall parking lot. There are several people here who are just taking pictures of this, what they consider to be a historic event, because the DeSoto Hotel is a landmark out here in El Paso, in downtown El Paso. So as you can see, it is going up in flames right now, and people are trying to take advantage and take some pictures of it. But again, firefighters want to try to keep people as far away from this building as possible. And again, as you mentioned, Eric, there is no wind to compete with, but it is very, very cold out here and expected to get even colder. And that's what firefighters are battling, not only the fire, but obviously weather conditions out here. But again, we continue to see this fire just rage through this entire building. It is not letting up, and they're having a really hard time trying to put the flames out. But again, Eric, I'm going to toss it right back to you because I understand you have Dylan McKim out there too.
Yeah, we have Dylan McKim on the ground. I also have Mauricio Casillas on the phone, but you mentioned the lack of wind right now. That's a good thing, but the cold temperatures right now. So I do want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Doppler Dave Spielman. Doppler, clearly this is a fire that is going to take a very long time to put out, just given the intensity. So this will likely stretch for the next couple of hours at least, if not into the overnight hours, potentially into tomorrow. And we've been under this ABC 7 first alert now since Sunday. And a big reason why, not just the snow we saw earlier, but also the frigid temperatures we experienced last night, but also again tonight. What kind of challenges are firefighters going to be up against when it comes to the extreme cold?
Yeah, it's going to be a major problem because, temperatures here in just a couple of hours going to get below freezing and, of course, stay below freezing until later tomorrow morning. So what they're spraying, all that water on the building, that will eventually be turning to ice. They're going to have to watch the roadways on there, too, because all that water you could see from the live shots will turn to ice as well. And then you got to deal with the firefighters. It is brutal enough fighting a fire. And then when you got bitterly cold temperatures out there, and then your fire suits get wet, right? And so it's always miserable when you're out there in the cold. You have wind. We don't have the wind, but we certainly have the cold temperatures. So they're going to have to watch their exposed skin. Certainly they don't have a lot of exposed skin out there with their face and all, but certainly it is just going to be a tough battle being out there with the cold and then being wet on top of that. And again, you can see some of the fires. We're showing you the wind speeds here on our graphic, and the winds aren't doing much at all, so that's the good news. I mean, certainly, we could have this time of year front blowing through here, and that could certainly complicate, but we don't have the wind speeds. Let me show you the temperatures that we are dealing with right now, and the first graphic, of course, is the winds, not an issue. But look at the temperatures. 35 in Las Cruces, but we're 36 out at the airport, right around downtown areas. So temperatures not far away from freezing. If you look at our planner in here for tonight, here's what we're looking at. By 7 o'clock, we're going to be below freezing. 9 o'clock, look at that, 29. 11 o'clock at 26 degrees. The winds will be light, but just going to be bitterly cold. That's going to continue again up until late morning before we start to see those temperatures climb above freezing. So it's certainly going to be a tough battle for all those firefighters out there.
Absolutely will. And now you have to combine the fact that we are past sunset as well, so it's getting darker out there. I imagine this picture looks even darker than it really is out there just because of all the smoke right now. But you can see just in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen that light being shined against the building there. So it looks like fire crews from the ground are trying to see what they can see from the ground, see where, and help guide the firefighters from above as to what spots to attack. From right now, I think I'm seeing a little bit less in the way of the flames coming out of the top. You can still see the orange glow above that black smoke, so there's still currently flames, of course, right now, but it does look like maybe some of those intense flames have become a little less intense. So firefighters are in a defensive position right now, trying to attack this fire from a defensive position, but it looks like hopefully maybe they're making some progress. Again, we still don't have any word on injuries. The only report that El Paso Fire had in the very beginning of this, almost an hour ago now, is that there were no reported injuries at the time. But of course, this could be affecting a very large footprint of that area around the Soto Hotel. So we're not sure, and with so much smoke coming out of the building, as in addition to the flames, there certainly could be the potential for that. So we'll continue to monitor that and wait for officials. We were supposed to get an update at some point for a fire official, but of course they are very busy right now attacking this fire in downtown El Paso. To give you some perspective, again, the Soto Hotel right there on the corner of Mills and Stanton in downtown El Paso. And as you see here in the live picture, this is a very intense battle right now that El Paso Fire is in the middle of, and it is only, I think, just in the beginning, given how intense this is going to be. You can even see just in this video all that water pouring down the side of the building, the sign there, the Soto Hotel sign right there. See how much water is just pouring down the side of the building. And look at the roadway here on this is Kansas Street here, one of the cross streets, but you can see, look at the ponding and the puddling that is happening now on the street. That is a cause for concern as well when you consider just how cold it's going to get. A lot of this water, as Doppler mentioned, could be freezing at some point here in the next couple of hours as well. But of course, first and foremost is trying to attack this fire and put this thing out. We'll continue to follow this breaking news story here on ABC 7 at 6. I want to remind you, we are streaming this live on KVIA.com throughout the duration of this, so we will continue to have that for you on KVIA.com. We do have to take one more quick break. We'll be right back to continue to follow this breaking news on ABC 7 at 6.